gosh. Yeah, I can see through that now.
My Mitsubishi Evo build has been epic up until this point. You've seen so many repairs. We've repaired the quarter panels, the front, and everything else on the car. If you thought you saw something now, wait till you see what I have in store for this video. Behind me is my daily driver work truck. This thing gets used and abused here at the shop. It is definitely a tow pig for the shop, and we've towed many vehicles with this truck. It has been neglected for a very long time, but thanks to today's sponsor, Avalon King, it's getting the royal treatment today. Avalon kits have everything you need to get the professional finish that you typically get for something that costs over $1,000. And with this kit, you will save hundreds. It takes 1 to 1.5 hours to coat a car completely, and one kit coats a small to medium-sized car completely. As you can see here, Avalon King is extremely easy to apply, and it's designed for the hobbyist and car enthusiast, but trusted by professionals too. Avalon King is safe for use with all hard surfaces on your vehicle, windows, lights, plastics, and chrome. Avalon King uses nanotechnologies to seal surface pores and cures to a hardened glossy shield. And as you can see here, it makes everything completely hydrophobic. Dirt and water bead right off. This coating is even useful for things like your shower, lawn furniture, bikes, repelling all scum and water beads right off. Thanks to Avalon King, my truck is looking amazing. It has been protected, it is now shiny again, all the plastics have been restored, and it's ready to go pick up plenty of projects. Thanks to today's video sponsor, Avalon King, for making my truck look great again. And if you guys want to make your vehicles look great, head over to the link in the description below. The first 100 people to click that link and buy a kit get 2 kits for $99. So go check it out. Now, let's get back to the build.
Welcome back to the shop and welcome back to my Dream Evo build. So far, we've done so much work to this car. It has undergone a total transformation. And now it is time to get this thing ready for body work. But before we do that, we need to strip all of the paint off of this car. There is way too much material on this thing. As I've looked at the car, I could tell this front door hasn't been painted, and that sounds about right. It's at about 6.7 mils right now, and that's about normal. Anywhere from 3.5 to 6.5 mils is pretty normal on a car. So this back door I know for sure has been painted. Let me take a look here. 14 mils. That's more than double of what the front door is. If I was to paint over that, that would have way too much material, which would cause a lot of problems, and it would cause issues with the way that the paint lays out, as well as the way the paint looks. It might wrinkle, it might do all kinds of things, so we definitely got to take all that down. But I just want to check out one more thing before I'm done. This right here is probably the thickest point on the car. Holy moly. 19.3. If I was to paint over that, that would definitely have an issue. So now it's time to get started. I got to strip this down. A lot of work to do. I'm going to be here late. Let's get going.
The first thing I do is take the doors off so that I can get this paint stripped off and get this car ready for primer.
Well, I am filthy, and I can see that my camera is a little filthy in itself. Let me just clear that out. That probably looks a lot better now, but yeah, that was a lot of paint. There was so much paint on this car, there was no way around this. I had to strip this down. This thing had probably, if I had to guess, 5 to 6 layers of paint on it, including the factory paint. So I'm dirty. I'm gonna blow this out now. That's why I did it here in the corner of the shop. Don't worry about all these very cheap parts in the corner over there. They're dirty anyway, and it's not a big deal. So it's got a little bit of sand on it, but it's good. It's good. I had to stop for a quick second and point something out. So there is a lot of body filler way up here on the roof. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because I only went about 3/4 of an inch higher with my section. They were right about here with their section. And what I noticed with this is they have so much body filler going all the way up here. That tells me one thing. I don't think they warped it. I just think their body working skills were not so good. So now I gotta take that all off and make more dust on there, over there, and all over here. Bye-bye. Back to work now.
Now I grind down all the welds, use my dent puller to pull out some of the warpage from welding, and get this thing ready for primer and then body filler.
On this side of the car, it had about 6 paint jobs. I've got all of that removed and down to bare metal. And not only that, on the rear body panel, there was some rust and some pitting from where the water sat underneath the rebar. All of that has been removed, and now it's time to get this thing cleaned up. First thing I'm gonna do is wipe it down with wax and grease remover. That way my tape will stick, and then tape it up and prime it. Okay, so I got the car bagged up, everything is cleaned, and now I have to hurry up and get outside. I think I have about 30 minutes before it starts raining again. I'm taking a chance by even pushing it out there. I gotta hurry up, I'm gonna go make some primer. Take a look at my Evo. It looks amazing. All I have to do now is all the body work, block it down, prime it again, block it down again, and take it to the paint shop. A little bit of work, little bit of work, but it's looking amazing. So far, we have fixed the front. We fixed the side over here. We fixed the side over there. We fixed so much stuff on this car. I still need to take care of the doors, but they don't look that bad. I've looked on the inside and I don't see indications of any kind of bad work done to those beyond the paint that was blended into the door that did not match at all. But if you look at this thing now, it is a total transformation. This car is looking amazing. I did find one thing though, and it was in the comments that I found this out. I'm not really a long-term Evo guy. I have only owned this car for about 8 months now. I got the car in February and I didn't start working on this car until March. So now it is, as we speak now, about to be August. We are about 2.5 months away from when this car needs to go to SEMA, where it will be in the Koenig booth, which I just found out the other day, which is extremely cool. And it's going to be rocking some of their awesome new forged wheels. But before all that happens, I got to do the suspension. I got to get it ready for paint. I also have to do something else that I found out the other day. And that was because of you guys. And I read through the comments and you guys said that a common problem with these is that the rust actually rusts from the inside out on the frame rails. So let's take a look at what I found, because it's not good. Like everything else on this car. All right, so now that we're under the car, I have a light under here so you can see everything. Take a look at what I found. This actually looked like surface rust, but the moment that I hit it with a grinder, it literally fell apart. All of this is just falling all apart, and you can see in there every time I hit it, it's just blasting holes. I literally just put a hole in the inner frame rail right there. You can see through that frame rail now. Yep, that's the other side. Not good. But not only that, this thing has some damage underneath as well. Right here. Look at that. That is really, really bad. Like, oh man, this is only getting worse underneath this car. It's on this side as well too. Let's just, let's see what we can get. Ooh, that was a spark. Oh my, oh, it's like just breaking right through. That's pretty bad. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, it's just chipping away. And the little bits of metal that are there when I'm hitting and missing or sparking, it's when I chip off this corner here is where it sparks at. But yeah, that's really bad. And it's equally as bad on this side of the bracket. Let me just hit this to see how bad this actually is here too. I think it's gonna go through again. And if it does, that again just justifies changing these things out, because this is a structural mounting point for my suspension and I don't want that to get loose or break free. Oh my goodness. Oh gosh. Yeah, I can see through that now. Okay, let's take a closer look at what I just did with that hammer. Yeah, that is, that's really bad. That's the other side. Yep, And same thing over here. That's oh man. Now that we've seen the rust, now that we see how bad it is, welcome to my brand new frame rails. I am going to have to protect these so that that never happens again. These things here have a lot of different layers of metal, and they're only protected with this E-coat, which when it gets exposed to elements and things like road salts and whatever debris, it rusts out. Water slings in this area anyway. Now what I have to do is I have to get all of this thing prepped and ready to go in here. And I am going to do this in 3 days. So total time, guys, that I have on this car has been probably around 2 months, I would say max. And I've been editing and I've been working on all the other stuff in the shop.
Now I center punch the welds so that way I have no issues with the drill bits sliding to the side while drilling out my welds. Now I carefully cut with the Sawzall here so I can remove this section of the frame rail to have access to the welds on the inside.
Okay, I've been drilling for 2 days now. Actually, it's the beginning of the second day. Let's see if this thing comes out. As you can see, it's hanging down a little bit now. Okay. Moving. Stuck a little bit. Okay, that's free. All right. Ah. Huh. Ah! And now welcome to the very bare underside of my Evo. This thing looks really good. The rails, on the other hand, though, they look really bad. Let me give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. If you look down in there, all of that is pretty well rotted. You can see on the inside that all of the rust is between all of these layers here. Now that I have everything out of the car, I have to do something very important. When I bought this bracket, they sent me the wrong one. They sent me the one for the RS model, and I have a GSR model. And the difference between that is it has a bracket here for the rear diff that mounts to this piece, but this one doesn't. Obviously, it only has the gas tank bracket mount. So now I have to clean those up in the blast cabinet over there, separate them and get them looking good again, coat them, and then weld them onto here. Really easy to do, but it's gonna take a little time. So let's get moving.
Friends are now my enemies. Always tell you what to do. Can't keep up with all the bullshit they're throwing your way. Always looking for the easy way. Now they're walking over you. Yeah. Never felt so damn frustrated. You're just wasting my time. All the feelings that I dread
And now we have converted our RS bracket to a GSR bracket, which holds a bracket on the rear differential. These were the pieces that were on there before. They were very weak, not as stout as these. So now that those are done, we can toss that to the side. I have put down all the welds that I need to put down. They came out really, really nice. Very happy with the way these turned out. But if we look at the back side, it has been prepped, cleaned up, and it's gonna get ready to go up there. But before I do that, I have to put epoxy primer on that one and that one right there, so that I never have the issues like this happen again. All right, let's get started. Like clockwork, we've had our nice afternoon rainstorm, but thankfully, as you can see, it's sunny again. So that gives me a window of opportunity to put some epoxy primer on these rails. Let's get it done.
Okay, so now I have everything in epoxy primer. It looks amazing and it is going to be protected for the life of the car. Check this out. So I have weld through primer all around the edges that are going to be welded on, as well as epoxy primer in the gutters. This area right here is where it collects a lot of water. So what I'm going to do to make sure that this thing never has that issue again is I'm going to seal some of these gaps here with seam sealer, as well as from the bottom here, I'm going to do something about these holes. I really don't want this open. I don't feel the need to have any of that open, so I'm gonna figure something out to cover it, so that way I don't have any issues with rust dripping in from, or rust starting from the inside out. Back to the car now. As you can see here, I have everything on this side pretty much wire wheeled. I still need to take care of this section here. I'm gonna have to make that panel. Over here, I've got the floor lifted up where I need to weld into this part here on the side of the rail. I have to slide it in between here, but before I do any of that, I need to clean up all this rust that's here. And then once I get this all cleaned up, it's time to weld. And you know what that means. We're just getting started. We are now at the point where we have to make some patch panels. Let me show you the stuff that I had to cut out because it was not savable. It had a lot of rust here in this section, just through this piece here to here. So I actually cut that little section out. I will be able to make that piece out of some other metal. This piece here was a little worse and it went all the way around, down, across. And this piece here just has some surface rust. I should be able to clean that up with a wire wheel. Over here in this section, this was rotted out, so I had to cut a lot of this out. This part right here I haven't yet cut out yet, but you can kind of see where it was rotting at, and then it's just flaking away and nasty. Over here now, this was the worst part of this section that I had to cut out on the car, because this piece here is a good about 3-inch piece all the way across that had to come off. And not only that, I had to cut this bottom section off as well because that was all rotted out. And then not only that, the bracket that holds the evap canister on the backside was rotted out on the bottom too. But this is my solution over here. So I have a door skin that all these rotted pieces are sitting on, and that is what I'm gonna use to actually make these panels here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to trace these out onto this panel, cut my pieces out, hit them with a hammer to the best of my ability to get them to the right shape. Then once I have them to the right shape, I'm going to weld them in back on the car. First thing I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna hit this with a sandblast cabinet, then I'm gonna coat it with some weld through primer, and hopefully that will be savable with a minimal amount of repair to it. It has been hours, days, tons of time put into this car, and now it is finally ready to weld the rear rails in. Let me show you what I got here. So now I have the frame rails for the car to put in. I decided to put the whole rail in against what everybody was telling me because they said it would be very difficult to do, and they were right. But I did not want to just section it in. Everyone was saying to section this in right here. And the more I looked at it, the more I thought to myself, I'm just gonna create more issues by doing that, and I think I can do this in a very clean way. So let me take you for a look on the inside to show you how I actually got this out and what I did and how I plan to put this back to OEM quality and just as good. Journey with me under the Evo now to see exactly what I had to do to put this whole frame rail in. As you come under here, you can see this is where the side of the frame rail is welded to the side of the rocker reinforcement here. And the problem that I had was that there was no access to these welds from the outside, so I had to come from the inside. This is actually the rear floor here. As you can see, there is a big hole. It's not a big hole like I cut the panel off. I just trimmed part of the panel here so that I'm able to weld this back across here. and then I'll fold it back down and weld it on top right here where the welds go. Over here, I'll be able to get access before I do that to the inside of the frame rail, and I'll show you right now the welds that I'm talking about. These are the welds that I'm talking about. This is the outside piece that touches the one that I just showed you. And this piece right here is where my welds are going to go back. Once I'm done, I'll be able to corrosion protect all of the inside of that, fold the floor back down, weld it up, and it's good to go. And not only am I gonna do that, I'm actually gonna use a lot of other methods to corrosion protect all of this stuff right here. So if you see over here, I have done the exact same thing. I've cut the floor, I've moved everything around, I've got all of the rust cleaned up. As you can see here, there's still a little tiny bit that I need to clean up there, but most of it's been cleaned off of that. And the same thing over here. Next step for me, getting these frame rails fit, putting them in place, and hopefully everything goes as planned and I get this done today. That is a lot of work. It's already 2:30. There is 83 days until SEMA. That car is definitely not ready for SEMA, but it's gonna be there, and I have a lot of work to do, so I'm gonna get hustling right now. Hi, welcome to the underside of my very neglected Evo. Now what I'm gonna attempt to do is lay on the ground and get these frame rails in place by myself. This is a bad idea. All right, let's do this. Buy a rusty Evo. It's a great idea, guys. Then you get to learn how to do whatever it is I'm trying to do right now, because that ain't working. Oh yeah, just need a little boot. Oh dude, it looks freaking perfect, just like right into place. It's like oh. It's like it was meant to be, like it was made for this area. Okay. Now, I have to figure out how to get out of here. I didn't think about that. I really didn't think about that. Okay, I'm a dummy. I didn't even bring a vice grip. Let's see. Oh, that's right there. That'll work. Dang it. Thing is heavy. Oh. Okay. I am going to hope there's enough pressure on this to keep it in place. Doesn't seem to be moving. I'm gonna quickly get out of the way. Okay, so I have rethought my method, how I'm gonna do this, and I came prepared. But before I get to the other side, let me not be a dummy and forget about this one. You see, when doing this, kids, always do the sketchiest things possible. That was not, there's no truth in that. Don't do that. Don't be a dummy. So don't be me. First of all, don't buy a rusty Evo. It's just a bad idea. Oh, okay. it in. That's what she said. Oh gosh. There we go. There we go. Would you look at that? I mean, would you just look at it? Okay. All right. Let's clamp this bad boy into place up here. It's one small clamp for me. One giant leap for my rusty Evo. Oh. Huh. I'm not sure how good this is going to line up, but under here, it looks really, really good so far. Oh. Ah. All right. Now all I have to do is weld everything in place. All right, that's a lot of work. I might come back tomorrow and do that. Okay, so we've got the tram gauge out again. I have Derek over here with me. I need a hand because early Japanese cars like to use oblong holes to measure off of, which means when going very long distances, you try to hold it in the middle of an oblong hole and then go to another oblong hole. It doesn't work. All right,
absolutely.
So the first one that they have me measuring off of is this hole right here. So just kind of hold it center there. Yep. And that measurement is 1640, and it's to this hole right here. And it's a little off. It's not like terribly off, but try the one next to it. Let me see, because I know there is another one there. Okay, so it's a hair off. It's not much, but it's almost there.
Okay.
And the 1640 would be to that. Go to the middle of that one again.
Okay. We are right in the middle of this one here.
16, it's, oh, you know what? I know why it's off. Because the tram gauge is not at 1641.
Okay.
Hey, this measures great.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
All right, let's try it again.
And it's centered, perfectly centered, so that works. Yep. All right, so it's good to have the right measurement. So the next one is from the same hole in the middle on this other side to the center of, I want to say, this hole here. It would be lined up with that. Yeah, so it's the center of this hole. So that is 1028. 1230 and 1028. Okay.
All right.
So now we'll go center of this one to the center of that hole right there.
Here.
Spot on. Perfect. Sweet. So last one that I need to do to know if it's right is 1232. And that is the center of this hole again here to the center of, I think it's this one. I think it's this one maybe. The same one as this side.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
so that's
that one.
1232.
Yeah, that one
should
right
be
there.
this one here. Center.
Let's see.
All right. Watch out.
Make sure I put it on 1232 because last one I didn't. Okay. Tight. And I think that was this one. So you go center yours.
Yeah, I'm the center of mine here.
You know what? I think it's this one. I was wrong. I was wrong hole.
Okay.
Perfect. Spot on.
Yeah.
Dude, sweet.
Cool.
So now we know that the frame rails are good to go. Next step is welding.
The fun stuff.
Yeah.
The fun part.
I had to burn myself several times.
Yeah, there you go.
The bottom of the car looks amazing. Everything has been corrosion protected. I have weld through primer on all the areas where I'm going to be doing my welds. And the next step is welding up about 500 welds. So let's get started because that's a lot of welds and I got a lot to do today. I want to get this thing completely finished today. So that's enough talking. Let's go! That was an insane amount of work. It's the next day at the shop now, and we still have some rust repair to go. There's a small spot on the floor, and there is a small spot on the inside part of the floor where water has built up and it's rust over the years, but everything else has been taken care of. We have new frame rails in this car now. The old frame rails, which I'm looking at right now, are disgusting. And now that we have the inside of the new ones epoxy coated, we're never gonna have this problem again. And not only that, I'm gonna use cavity wax, and I'll show you guys that later, but just look at this thing. It is a bare shell. We have 80 days left. I still have to do the interior, build the engine, paint the car, put it together, and I haven't even done the body work yet. So it's a lot of work to get done. Let's get started today. This is gonna finish it up. Then we can get started on the body work. But dude, this thing is looking beautiful. I cannot be happier with the way it's turned out. And now my Evo is truly become a new creation. It has evolved.
Okay, so now we have everything squared away. Everything is cut out of the car, and we have made a patch panel. This patch panel here is the same stuff I was using for the back, and it's basically just a door skin. Looks like off of a Nissan Murano or something like that with the color. So what I done here is I had cut out a piece and made a template from that old piece. And now it is time to fit our piece and see if it is even close. Okay, it's actually not bad. This looks really good so far. Okay, get that guy there. Wow. That actually lines up really, really good right away. That's called never happens, but awesome. So now I have to get this thing welded in place, and I have to make one more strip to go here, and this is the strip where this piece gets welded to on the floor. Once that is done, grind it clean. It gets seam sealer on the inside. I'm not worried about how much it looks, because it's gonna get all this seam sealer here put back over it, gonna make it look smooth, get it corrosion protected, and get this thing moving. So there's not much left to go. Like literally after this is finished, it's stripping the floor, epoxy priming it, and then it's ready. It's done. That's it. I wait at that point and let the epoxy cure, and it's on to the body work, which is not gonna take that long because these panels really aren't that big, and I gotta hurry up because now there's 78 days till SEMA.
With so much going on in such a short period of time, putting in so many long days, I called over my friend Jeff and gave him some pizza, and he came over and helped me. So now when you need help, all you gotta do is buy your friends pizza. It works. Most of the time.
The floor is prepped, both rails are prepped, the cross member is prepped, the bottom side of the car is looking amazing again. All of the rust has been cleaned off of this tunnel, and now it is brought to the front here where I will end my epoxy primer. So much work has gone into this car. I'm going on 4 days straight of sanding, prepping, cleaning, prepping, grinding, getting all the seam sealer away, and now all the underbody is clean. And it is time to get this thing in epoxy primer. I am really excited about that because that means the next step for me is going to be getting the body work done to the outside of the car. But before I do all that, I'm gonna get started on the engine. And I have so many cool things I can't wait to show you guys. But before I get to that, I gotta get this thing primed. So let's get started. It has been about 3 works, 12-hour days, tons of work, tons of grinding, tons of cutting, tons of welding, and now this thing is looking amazing. Take a look at the brand new underside of my Evo. This thing is amazing, guys. Look at this. Brand new rails, completely seam sealed, epoxy primed. Everything was stripped down to bare metal. We fixed the floor over here. We've fixed the floor on this side. We've sealed the frame rails. I also went on Amazon and picked up these little rubber grommets here to close up all of these holes. All of the underside here where we had rust starting on the inside there has been stripped down and epoxy primed. The epoxy primer ended up here at the top, and now this thing is looking fresh and brand new. I am so excited about this car. I can't wait to get started on the engine, which is gonna happen next week, and I have a ton of performance mods that I'm gonna show you guys. But until then, I'll see you later. Peace.